You're probably seeing this pattern already. The more AI you deploy, the more often you get a very confident answer that you're not actually confident acting on.
Your model says 93% confidence this pricing tweak will win. Or it ranks one candidate clearly above the rest. Or it rewrites a contract clause like it's done this 1,000 times before. And yet, your risk tolerance is nowhere in that output.
Exactly. The model is reporting a signal, not accepting responsibility. It's like a very smart intern who always sounds sure of themselves. Helpful, but if you let that confidence outrun your actual error budget, you've just outsourced risk management to an autocomplete engine.
This episode is about fixing that gap in a very practical way. One core idea: treat AI confidence as a dial you control, not a verdict you obey. We're going to walk through what I call the AI confidence clamp, a short, explicit policy that ties three things together: the type of decision, the confidence and provenance you require from the model, and the action rule that follows.
And the goal here is speed without stealth risk. You still move fast, you just stop letting opaque confidence scores quietly push you past what you'd ever sign off on in a boardroom.
Here's how we'll structure the briefing in the next few minutes. First, we'll define the confidence clamp in simple terms. Then 3 moves: classifying decisions into clean tiers, instrumenting your AI outputs so they're interpretable, and finally, applying clamps, simple rules like accept, draft, or escalate. We'll close with concrete examples and a 20-30 minute calibration exercise you can actually run this week.
Think of this as installing guardrails on a highway you're already driving. The system reveals the truth. If you don't specify how AI plugs into your decision rules, the default policy becomes whatever the last prompt engineer typed.
Let's define the AI confidence clamp. In plain language, it's a compact policy that says, for this class of decision, we require this level of model confidence, this level of source provenance, and then we take this specific action. So instead of a free-floating 91% confidence score you're supposed to interpret on the fly, you have something like, for reversible ops decisions, anything above 70% with at least one verified source can auto-execute. That's a clamp.
Right now, most teams have the opposite. They have improv. Every analyst or manager does their own mental math. 90%. That sounds high. I guess we go? A clamp removes that improv. It translates model confidence into a pre-agreed next step.
Structured, not rigid. You're not trying to build a regulatory doctrine here. You're installing a light decision harness, so AI recommendations either run, draft, or escalate in a way that matches your risk appetite.
And the beautiful part is, once it's in place for one decision stream, you can iterate. Patterns create power. You'll see where the model is overconfident, where humans overtrust, and where your clamps are either too tight or too loose.
So, how do you build this in under an hour, not as a 6-month governance initiative? Move 1. Classify your decisions into 3 tiers with explicit error budgets.
Tier 1 is reversible or operational. These are decisions you can unwind cheaply. Subject line tests, minor pricing experiments within bounds, prioritizing which support tickets to answer first.
For this tier, your error budget is generous. You might tolerate being wrong 20, even 30% of the time, as long as the downside is bounded and reversible. That's where AI can be most autonomous.
Think, if this goes wrong, can we fix it in a sprint without reputational headlines or regulatory letters? If the answer is yes, it's probably Tier 1. You want speed and volume here, not perfection.
Tier 2 is strategic. These decisions shape capital allocation, product direction, key hires, significant vendor choices. Harder to unwind, but not instantly public.
Here, your error budget tightens. Maybe you're aiming for 90% plus correctness, and you're willing to accept delay or extra checks to avoid compounding mistakes. AI is useful as a structured advisor, but not as an autopilot.
A simple test: if this decision, made poorly, would show up in your quarterly review or board deck with uncomfortable questions, it probably lives in Tier 2.
Tier 3 is reputational. Anything that touches brand trust, regulatory exposure, public statements, or sensitive people decisions. Press releases, compliance interpretations, terminations, public pricing promises. Your error budget here is tiny. You're optimizing for integrity and defensibility over speed. AI can still help, but as a drafting tool and a source of options, not as a decision maker.
If you'd be uncomfortable explaining, we did this because the model had high confidence, it's Tier 3. Precision drives agency here. You stay in the loop, always.
In practice, you don't need a 50-page policy. Take one recurring decision stream, say weekly promotional pricing changes, and put every typical decision into one of these 3 tiers. That alone clarifies where AI can run and where it should only propose.
And involve the people actually touching the workflow. The system reveals the truth. If operators disagree with your tiering, they just won't use the policy. Ask, if this went wrong, what would really happen? Their answers calibrate your tiers fast.
Once you've tagged a decision stream by tier, move to instrument the model outputs so they're actually interpretable. You want 3 things: confidence bands, provenance, and a simple hallucination check.
First, confidence bands. Don't fixate on a single number. Ask the model or design your interface to express confidence more like ranges or relative certainty: low, medium, high, ideally backed by some reference class.
Right now, a lot of systems throw up 0.87 or 0.93 at you with no context. That feels precise, but isn't necessarily calibrated. It's better to know, historically, when the model says high confidence on this task, it's been directionally right 85% of the time.
Second, provenance. For strategic and reputational tiers especially, you want the model to show its homework. That means source links, citations, or at least a clear summary of which internal documents or prior decisions it drew from.
A simple prompt tweak can help. For example, give your recommendation, then list the top 3 sources or examples you relied on with links or document IDs. Now you're not just getting an answer, you're getting an evidence trail.
And the pattern to watch is consistency. If over time, high-stakes suggestions come with thin or repetitive provenance, that's a signal the model is extrapolating beyond your actual knowledge base. That's where clamps should tighten, not loosen.
Third, a hallucination check. You don't need a PhD here. 2 simple questions get you most of the benefit. 1, where might this be wrong? And 2, what would you need to see to downgrade your confidence?
You can bake that into the system. For any recommendation above a given confidence threshold, require the model to generate its own critique and downgrade conditions. You're forcing it to expose potential failure modes.
Teams often skip this because it feels like extra clicks, but this is where a tiny bit of friction buys you a lot of safety. You're not just asking, is the model sure? You're asking, on what basis, and how could that be wrong?
With tiers and instrumentation in place, move 3, apply clamps. For any AI suggestion, you route it into one of 3 buckets: accept, draft, or escalate.
Accept means the system can act autonomously. No human review, maybe just logging. Draft means the model prepares the work, but a human finalizes.
Escalate means the model can inform, but a human must explicitly decide, and often document why.
Tie those to your tiers. For reversible operational decisions, you'll have a lot of accept. For strategic ones, mostly draft, rarely accept. For reputational decisions, almost everything should be draft or escalate, with clear human signatures.
Here's where the clamp becomes explicit. You write rules like, for Tier 1 discount recommendations, except if model confidence is high and at least one source is internal historical data, else draft. Or, for Tier 2 vendor shortlists, draft if confidence is medium or high with at least 3 independent sources and a hallucination check. Escalate if sources conflict or the model flags potential bias.
And for Tier 3, something like, for public statements, draft only. Always escalate to legal or comms for sign-off. No accept path, regardless of model confidence. That's a clamp that reflects your true risk appetite, not the model's optimism.
2 important guardrails here. First, any clamp that routes to accept should be reserved for low-stakes, reversible decisions, and it should have a named human owner who signed off on that automation path.
Second, you pilot this on one decision stream only. Timebox your initial calibration to 20 or 30 minutes. You want to prove that the clamp reduces debate and speeds execution before you apply it everywhere.
And layer in a simple empirical test. Run the model on, say, 20 historical cases where you already know the outcome. Compare its confidence to reality. If high confidence is only right 60% of the time, adjust your thresholds. Don't treat the numbers as sacred.
Let's make this tangible with 3 quick scenarios: a pricing tweak, a candidate shortlist, and a vendor contract clause. Scenario 1. Pricing tweak. You're testing a slightly higher discount on a segment for a 2-week campaign. That's reversible. Tier 1. Your clamp might say, if the model recommends a discount change within plus or minus 10% of our usual band with high confidence and evidence from past campaigns, accept. If outside that band or low confidence, draft for human review.
The effect and workflow is simple. Most routine tweaks just ship. Only the weird ones hit a human's desk. You reduce Slack debates about every minor change because the clamp already encodes the risk appetite.
Scenario 2. Candidate shortlist for a senior role. That's at least Tier 2, arguably touching Tier 3 if it's highly visible. Your clamp. Model may draft a shortlist and rationales using structured criteria. Require medium or high confidence and diverse source signals, like multiple interview notes. Always escalate. A human panel must review and own the decision.
Here, AI accelerates synthesis, not judgment. It's pulling patterns from resumes and interviews faster than you could, but the human bar for fairness, culture, and context doesn't move. That stays with you.
Scenario 3. Vendor contract clause. For a standard low-value contract, you might classify it as Tier 2. For a strategic, high-exposure agreement, it's Tier 3. A clamp for routine contracts could be allow AI to draft revisions using a pre-approved clause library, require provenance that changes are drawn from that library, escalate any novel clause or anything the model flags as non-standard.
For the strategic deal, clamps get stricter. AI can draft red lines and risk summaries, but all go to escalate. Legal owns the final language. No accept path. Same tool, different clamp, because your error budget is radically different.
Notice what's happening across these examples. You're not asking, can we trust the AI? You're asking, given this decision class and our error budget, what is the appropriate role for the AI?
That shift from trust as a feeling to trust as a designed system is where leverage lives. Once the clamps exist, people stop relitigating every recommendation. They just follow the path.
Let's close with a concrete action you can take this week. Pick one recurring decision stream where AI is already in the loop. Something like weekly pricing adjustments, campaign targeting, ticket routing, or internal content drafting.
Schedule a 20 to 30-minute calibration session with the 1 or 2 people closest to that workflow. In that session, do 4 things. 1. Map the key decisions in that stream to the 3 tiers: reversible, strategic, reputational. 2. Define a rough error budget for that stream. Ask, how often can we be wrong before this meaningfully hurts us? 3. Decide what instrumentation you'll require from the model: confidence bands, provenance level, and a hallucination check question. 4. Write one simple clamp that maps model signals to accept, draft, or escalate for that stream.
Then run that clamp for 2 cycles. Keep a lightweight log. For each AI-involved decision, note what the model recommended, what the clamp route was, what you actually did, and whether you'd change the clamp in hindsight.
After 2 cycles, you'll know 3 things. 1. Whether your tiers and error budgets feel right in practice. 2. Whether your model's confidence maps to reality on this task. And 3. Where to tighten or loosen the clamp.
From there, it's just replication. You don't need to reinvent the framework. You copy the pattern to the next decision stream. Patterns create power. The more decisions live inside clamps, the less cognitive overhead you burn on, do we trust the AI this time?
If today's briefing helped you see AI confidence as a dial you can design instead of a verdict you must obey, make your next move count. Pick that one decision stream and set your first confidence clamp.
And if you want more short, actionable briefs on building agentic systems around AI so your judgment stays sharp while the tools get smarter, follow or subscribe to the Agentic Executive in your podcast app.
New episodes drop regularly, designed to fit between meetings and still move your strategy forward. Until next time, stay agentic.